Hi everybody, doing another video. I got this van here. It's a 98 Pontiac Transport and I bought it new. This is now November of 2013, so it's 15 years old, going on 16, and I know the complete history on it. I've done all the repairs pretty much, but I've got this theory, and I'm gonna about how to do some tie rod type stuff. And this is my theory. If your steering is proper, everything is all nice, and the steering wheel is centered, and your tires are the same, and the correct tire pressure, when you go down the road on level surface, your steering wheel should be pointing straight up. Well, that's the way it was when I bought the car. So I had a tie rod go out, and I was driving it around. It was just rattling like crazy, and I felt, I saw that it was loose, and so I changed it. But when I bought the tie rod, I bought two of them because I knew the other side would go out too. So I changed that tie rod, and then I got back in the car and went down the road, and the steering wheel wasn't straight up. So that means that if your steering wheel, if one wheel is correct and the other wheel is a little bit off, you got to turn your steering wheel slightly to compensate. So that's why your steering wheel's off. So I went and I adjusted the they call it the jam nut. I adjusted that, and I kept adjusting it until I got the steering wheel straight up and down again, and then I assume it's aligned, and I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be. So I was driving the car, and I turn right, and I hear this clunk on the driver's side. The one I changed was on the passenger side. So I driving it, I turn, and I could hear this clunk on the driver's side. Couldn't really tell what it was. I jacked the car up and I did the wiggle of the wheel. I couldn't really see any movement there, but I suspect it's the tie rod. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you something. And let me just go ahead and get in the vehicle, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm in the vehicle, and I'm going to start it up, and I'm going to show you something here. Okay, it's running. I'll let all the noise stop. Now, I take my steering wheel and I do this back and forth motion really quick like this, which is kind of like grabbing the wheel and moving it. But instead of the wheel moving, the wheel's held constant on the pavement, and the steering wheel's moving. So watch when I do this really fast. I don't know if you could hear that, but it's a thump. That means there's play in the system. And so now I'm pretty convinced, and it sounds like it's on the driver's side. I got my watch making noise, but here, you gotta be able to hear that. That is the tie rod end going out. So I'm gonna get on the road and I'm gonna check my steering, see if it's straight up and down. So I'll be back in a minute. I am gonna make a left, and this road here is pretty straight. Now what I did is I made sure my front tires are in great condition. I made sure they were aired up to the correct pressure. Driving down the road here, and you notice my steering wheel. It's pretty much straight up and down. It's a little bit to the right, just a little bit. But it's, and I remember when I adjusted this last time, when I changed the the tie rod end on the right side, it's very difficult to adjust because you just turn the jam nut like a 1/16 of a turn, and it corresponds to the steering wheel being a couple inches off. So it's very difficult. but I'll do this one more time. Just so I'm going on this road here. It's pretty straight. And with me going straight down the road, there's my steering wheel. And you can see that it's, you know, it's a little bit to the right, but it's acceptable. You can see the gauges, everything, so I'm going to shoot for a little bit to the right when I get done doing this adjustment, or doing my tie rod ends. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go home, I'm going to change my tie rod end, and, you know, I'm going to mark it and make sure I do the correct number of turns and all that business to try to do it as good as possible. But then I'm just going to take it as is out on the road, and I'm going to film it and show you how far off the steering wheel is. And then I'll show you how I fix it. Okay, so here's an update. I got the old one off. It's right here. And I compared it to the new one, which is on here, and it's the exact same length. Trust me on that. It's the exact same length. And I kept the old jam nut on there because I don't see any reason why I have to replace it. But when I threaded the new one on, I was expecting it to stop right around here because that's where the jam nut was set, but instead it goes a little bit further. So I don't know whether I'm supposed to go further to there or just go with here. So now I think it's because the threading there just started at a different place on this one. Now the way this is done, this stays fixed in this hole, and this is used to adjust it. You turn this can turn also up and down, and that by that turning, since that's threaded into here, makes it go in and out, and then the jam nut is used to stop it from turning after you made your final adjustment. So I think I'm going to have to go out on the road. I'm going to pick I think that's off. I don't know. I just don't know. So I can't tell. So I'll have to put it here and go with that. I'm going to put that in like that and then take it on the road and see where my steering wheel is. So I'll let you know how that works out. Alright. I've put everything away. Car's back down. I got just my 2 adjustment tools. Jack if I need it. I don't think I will though. I'm gonna take it for a test spin now and see how far we are off. See how far off we are with the alignment. So I'll let you know when I get on the road. Okay, here I am, going the same exact path I went yesterday. Same road, same everything. And you notice the steering wheel is straight up and down. I'm going straight down this road, it's straight up and down. I mean, it is right where it was before. So you know what? Actually, it's kind of maybe a little bit to the left, but this is I have to go by what it was before and compare it to now. It is straight up and down. I do not need to adjust it. I remember last time when I did this, it was very difficult to... It's a little bit to the left. I don't know if you can see that. A little bit to the left. So I'm going to try to adjust it. But if I remember correctly, it was very difficult to make an adjustment small enough so that I could actually hit it. I overshoot back and forth. You know, I make an adjustment, I'm way too far one way, I tweak it the other way, I get too far the other way, and it's back and forth. So I'm actually pretty happy with this, but it is to the left. So I'm going to tweak it, and I'll show you how I do that. I got to turn around here and go back to the house, and I got the green arrow. How cool is that? So I'll just go ahead and turn here. I'll go back to the house and adjust it. Okay, back at the house, I parked it in the driveway here, and I turn the wheel so that I can get at what I need to adjust back in there just by reaching up underneath here. But I want to explain my thoughts on this. Let's say that the steering wheel is a little bit to the left. Alright, if the steering wheel is a little bit to the left, that means that it's compensating. If it was straight, the car would turn to the right. So it has to be to the left to keep it going down straight. So that means that the wheel is a little bit in like this. If the wheel was straight up, the car would turn this way, which before it was a little bit to the right and it went straight. But now it's a little to the left and it goes straight. So it's compensating. The wheel is a little bit, the driver's side wheel is a little bit in. So I have to turn the wheel a little bit to the right to even these two out. And so there's a little bit of a toe-in situation going on. So what I need to do is I need to adjust this wheel out like that. And the adjustment's on the back of the wheel. So I want to pull that in at the bottom, which means I have to loosen the jam nut and turn that rod a little bit, which will turn that in, and then put the jam nut back. So that's my philosophy. And I'm going to do it as small of a change as I possibly can, because I remember before, a little turn on that thing meant a lot of movement on the steering wheel. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen the jam nut, turn that thing. I got the two tools here. I don't know if I can do this with you watching. Basically, I want to, here's the thing I want to, I don't know if I could set this up for you to watch. I'm gonna just do it, okay? Basically, you loosen this, keep this thing straight, turn this way to that will pull this in towards that direction. I'm gonna go ahead and do that and get back to you. All right, I might have botched it, and the only way to tell is to try it again. I had the one wrench on the rod, and I tried turning it, and it seemed to turn really smooth and everything. I locked it back up, but then it seemed like the wrench was not on the hex portion of the rod, so I really don't know what I did. So now I got to go back and test drive it again and find out where I am. So let me get back on the road and let you know how it is. Alright, so here I am at the light. I've got to wait for this light every time I do this, which is a pain in the butt. But I'm back on the road, and it's a little bit to the left still. It's actually really close though. Going down this level road, seems like it's straight up and down. That's good enough for me, really. So you have to kind of watch it as you drive, you know, and see how many times is it more to the left, how many times is it more to the right. Is it up straight. And it really seems like it's about where I want it. But I'm going to go ahead and drive it. I'm not going to bore you with the details. I'm going to drive it for a little bit here and verify without this camera and all that, and then I will report back what I'm thinking. So I got to turn up at this next light. But right now it just seems like it's pretty much straight up, maybe a little to the left, or it's actually kind of like straight up. I like that, because that's where I tried to get it last time and I couldn't. I realize there's a possibility it could be that both of them are off, but it coasts well and stops straight, and I don't know. I think I might be good. So let me just drive it around a little bit and I'll report back to you. I'll figure it out. Okay, I'm back at the house, and after driving it, I've decided that I want to try to adjust it because it's more to the left than it is to the right. You know, so it needs to be adjusted, and I didn't do it right. I tried to do it but messed up, so I'm going to try it again. Okay, only took me a minute, and now I'm going to try it again. This time I really did adjust it. I was very careful and made sure. So I will get out on the road and let you know. Alright, here we are at the light. Got the green arrow. So I'm going again. Same exact path. And I'm going straight down the road. By golly, it's a change. Very minor. I probably turned it about maybe about 20 degrees. Just a very small amount. You can see now that it's a little bit to the right. I don't know if you noticed that. Same exact path. Yeah, it's a little to the right. That's kind of where it was before. And now it's straight up, a little to the right, straight up, a little to the left. I think I like it like this. So this is where I'm going to leave it, because if I turn that rod 20 degrees, and it means I don't know, I think I'm good right here. It's a little to the left, straight up and down right now, straight up and down. Straight up and down is fine. Because before it was a little to the right, but like I said, I was trying to get that thing straight up and down, and I just couldn't get it straight up and down. I've gotten better at this, though, with this attempt. The bad news is clunk noise that I was hearing is still there. So this did not fix it. So I'm going to drive it back home again, see where I am. make a decision, either adjust it or leave it. And the final thing is you have to make sure that jam nut is tight against the tie rod end so that it doesn't come loose later. I think it is right now, but I'm gonna make sure and then I'm gonna be done. Okay, back at the house. I've decided that it's good enough, so I'm just going to tighten the jam nut because it's pretty much straight up and down all the time. So, you know, if you think about, zoom out. If you think about the threads, the thickness of the threads, and the fact that I turned that rod 20 degrees and that made a change in the steering wheel, I'm really close, and I don't see how I'm going to have prematurely worn tires or anything due to that. I just really don't think so. In fact, I've been driving on this car. I've never had an alignment done on this car since I had it. I know the history of it. Never hit a curb, never hit anything. I've replaced the front shocks or front struts, and you know, I've never had any premature wear on the tires, and it's too old to really worry about. So for right now, I am not gonna get an alignment. It's not driven that much anymore. We got 5 cars, so I'm just going to go with it as is. So I'll tighten up the jam nut and I'm done. So I hope this helps. But remember, you got to start with a wheel that's straight up and down, because if the wheel's way off, you don't know what's wrong. Is it the right tire off? Is the left tire off? You know, they could both be out like this, and you know, it's just, you don't know. But if you start out with a known, where the steering wheel is straight up and down, and you replace one side and the steering wheel is now off, and you adjust it so the steering wheel is back straight up and down, then that to me seems like it's an alignment that's fine. I realize that people that do alignments for a living will disagree, but for what I want, I think this is fine. And you also got to consider, if you're coming up to a light and your steering wheel is straight up and down, but when you step on the brakes, all of a sudden it goes over to the right or left, something's wrong. You need to check that out. It could be you got play in your system, or one brake is pulling really hard compared to the other, or something like that. But anyway, I hope this helps. Have a nice day, and we'll see you around.